Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Aakash, and in this video, I'll be sharing with you 6 ways to read more books so that you can achieve your arbitrary goal of reading 100 books or so in a year. The first step is to read without the inner voice. You know, when you read something, an inner voice always speaks with you. For example, we read something like, I'm going to watch Friends while having lunch, and then you got the idea, right? So there's no point reading like this because it takes so much of your time. Instead, you want to start reading only with your eyes because that's what they're made for, and try to quieten the voice inside you. And of course, it's going to take loads of practice in the beginning, but once you'll master it, you'll read a book in approximately 1/4 the time you actually take to read a book. Initially, start slowly, like you don't want to reach from the start to the end of the line within a second because you won't understand anything then. Just take your time and try getting faster and faster. Next up is read with a finger. This might feel weird, but sometimes we lose track of the line we're reading and we mix the line from the next word, or we just skip a line or something, and that consumes time. Plus, when you'll be practicing to quieten your inner voice, you'll be doing such mistake really frequently. So when you read, whether it's on your iPad or laptop or paperback, just try keeping a finger or a pen or a pencil so that you don't lose track of the line. Moreover, when you're reading with your finger on the line, you're very less likely to be distracted by some other word, meaning more focus, meaning faster reading. Third tip is to read less chapters. This point is applicable only for non-fiction books. Let me rephrase. This point is applicable mostly for non-fiction books because in a non-fiction book of like 300 pages, 200 pages are utterly useless because first, they try to prove a point with a gazillion examples and sometimes even repeat a point with some different side which doesn't make sense reading whatsoever. And second, most of the non-fiction books are filled with so much stuff because the general rule of thumb says the more the pages, the better is the book, which again isn't true. So skipping through such chapters is the right thing, but for a fiction book, if it's interesting, just reading every single word makes sense. The fourth one in this list is to stop reading when you're getting bored. You know, people think that abandoning a book before completely finishing it is bad or something, but what do you do when you're watching some boring TV show or a movie? You leave it and move ahead, right? The similar gesture should be done with books, like trying to read a book you don't want to read is just like forcing yourself to watch a boring TV show. So the next time you come across a book you don't feel like reading, just throw it away and read some other one. I personally never found The E-Myth Revisited interesting, but everyone claims that it's a great book. But instead of feeling guilty to put it down, I just told myself that I can come back to this book some other time when I'll feel like it, but for now it's better to put it down. The penultimate tip in this list is to read more than one book. This is Mark Manson approved that it's fair to read 2 books than one at any given time. Like if you get bored from the first one, which is a non-fiction book, you can switch to the other one, which can be a fiction or some other non-fiction book. Right now, I'm reading Slow Productivity by Cal Newport and A Million Dollar Weekend by Noah Kagan, which, by the way, both are ridiculously amazing books, which might be a part of my book club series, which, if you haven't started watching, has a whole ass series of Feel Good Productivity by Ali Abdal. Amazing book. And the last thing that we're going to talk about is not to highlight and annotate. One thing people assume is that if we highlight and annotate stuff, we'll remember the stuff we read, but that's not true. The only purpose of highlighting is that when you revisit the book sometime, you'll be reminded of the really important bits, and the annotation is for the purpose that you don't want to read some whole ass concept. Instead, you can just read your own short notes. But these things are only for writers and people of the same category, and for a normal reader like you and me, these things doesn't help whatsoever. So instead of making any notes out of the book, just try applying the stuff you read into your life, and it is the best way to remember all the key points from the book. And unless you don't want to impress a bunch of nerds in a party, assuming that nerds go to parties, there's no need for you to just highlight and annotate. And that's it for today. If you got anything from this video, I'd really fancy you subscribing, and if you're willing to learn how to study efficiently, I have a small guide somewhere here. I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.